Welcome back. Got some visitors ready to do Bible study today. Got Kindly here, and Braden's joining.
Hi.
So we're going to be reading from Yochanan, John chapter 6. Hi. Okay, so after this, Yeshua went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee. And a large crowd was following him because they saw his signs which he did on those who were sick. And Yeshua went up on a mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. And the Pesach was near. Pesach is Passover, the festival of the Jews. Then Yeshua, lifting up his eyes and seeing a large crowd coming towards him, said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for them to eat?" And this he said, trying him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered and said, 200 pieces of silver worth of bread is not sufficient for them, for every one of them to receive even a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, said to him, "Here is a boy who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are these for so many?" And Yeshua said, "Make the people sit down." Now there was much grass in that place, and the men numbering was about 5,000. And they sat down. And Yeshua took the loaves, and having given thanks, he distributed them to the disciples, and the disciples to those sitting down. And the same with the fish, as much as they wanted. And when they were filled, he said to his disciples, "Gather the broken pieces that are left over, so that none gets wasted." So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with broken pieces of the 5 barley loaves, which were left over by those who had eaten. Then the men, having seen the sign that Yeshua did, said, "This is truly the prophet who is coming to the world." Then Yeshua, knowing that they were about to come and seize him, that they might make him sovereign, withdrew again to the mountain, alone by himself. And when evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, and entering in the boat, they were going over the sea towards Capernaum, and it had already become dark, and Yeshua had not yet come to them. And the sea was rising because a great wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 25 or 30 feet, they saw Yeshua walking on the sea and coming near the boat, and they were afraid. And he said to them, "It's I, do not be afraid." They determined, therefore, to take him into the boat, and at once the boat was at the land where they were going. Now on the next day, the crowd that was standing on the other side of the sea saw that there was no other boat there except that one into which his disciples had entered, and that Yeshua had not entered the boat with his disciples, but his disciples went away alone. But other boats came from Galilee, near the place where they ate bread after the Adon had given thanks. Therefore, when the crowd saw that Yeshua was not there, nor his disciples, they themselves also entered into the boats and came to Capernaum, seeing Yeshua. And having found him on the other side of the sea, they asked, "How did you get here?" Yeshua answered and said, "Truly, truly, I say to you, you seek me not because you saw signs, but because you ate of the loaves and were satisfied. Do not labor for the food that is perishing, but labor for the food that is remaining to everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give to you. For the Father Elohim has put his seal on him." So they said to him, "What should we do to work the works of Elohim?" Yeshua answered and said, "This is the work of Elohim, that you believe in him who he sent." So they said to him, "What sign then would you do so that we see and believe you? What would you do?" "Our fathers ate the manna in the wilderness, as it has been written, he gave them bread out of the heaven to eat." Therefore Yeshua said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you." I lost my place. I'm in verse 32. "Truly, truly, I say to you, Moshe did not give you the bread out of the heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread out of the heaven. Okay. For the bread of Elohim is he who comes down out of heaven and gives life to the world. So they said to him, Adonai, give us this bread always. And Yeshua said to them, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall not get hungry at all, and he who believes in me shall not get thirsty at all. But I said to you that you have seen me, and you still do not believe. All that the Father gives me shall come to me, and the one who comes to me I shall by no means cast out. Because I have come down out of heaven, not to do my own desire, but the desire of him who sent me. Wow. This is the desire of the Father who sent me, that all he has given me I should not lose of it, but should raise it in the last day. And this is the desire of him who sent me, that everyone who sees the Son and believes in him should possess everlasting life, and I shall raise him up in the last day. Therefore the Jews were grumbling against him, because he said, I am the bread that came down out of heaven. And they said, is not this Yeshua, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he says that he came down from heaven? Then Yeshua answered and said to them, do not grumble with one another. Nobody is able to come to me unless the Father who sent me draws them, and I shall raise him up in the last day. It has been written in the prophets that they shall all be taught by Yah. Everyone then who has heard from the Father and learned comes to me. Not that anyone has seen the Father except he who is from Elohim. He has seen the Father. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me possesses everlasting life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers ate the manna in the wilderness. They died. This is the bread which comes down out of the Shemayim, so that anyone might eat of it and not die. I am the living bread which came down out of heaven. If anybody eats of this bread, he shall live forever. And indeed, the bread that I shall give in my flesh, which I shall give for the life of the world. The Jews therefore were striving with one another, saying, how is this one able to give us flesh to eat? Yeshua therefore said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you possess no life in yourselves. He who eats for my flesh is truly food, and my blood is truly drink. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood stays in me, and I in him. As the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so he who feeds on me shall live because of me. This is the bread which came down out of heaven, not as your fathers ate the manna and died. He who eats this bread shall live forever. He said this in a congregation, teaching in Capernaum. Therefore many of his disciples having heard, said, this is very hard to understand. Who is able to hear it? But Yeshua, knowing within himself that his disciples were grumbling about this, said, does this make you stumble? What if you see the Son of Man going up where he was before? It is the Ruach that gives life. The flesh does not profit at all. The words that I speak to you are Ruach and are life, a spirit and life. But there are some of you who do not believe. For Yeshua knew from the beginning who they were and who did not believe and who would deliver him up. And he said, because of this I have said to you that nobody is able to come to me unless he has been given to him by my Father. From then on, many of his disciples withdrew and were not walking with him anymore. Yeshua therefore said to the 12, do you also want to go away? Then Simon Peter answered, Adonai, to whom shall we go? You possess words of everlasting life. And we have believed, and we have known that you are Hamashiach, the Son of the living Elohim. Yeshua answered them, "Have I not chosen you, the 12, and one of you is a devil?" He was now speaking of Judah, for he, one of the 12, was about to deliver him up. That completes chapter 6. And there's so much in that chapter that I just love. First off, the feeding of the 5,000, then walking on the water, and his followers knew that there was no extra boat. They didn't know how he got across, so many followed him because of that. They knew that in itself was only something that Yah can do, and they understood that. And then something seems troubling in this chapter would be, of course, whenever he speaks the words that many people do not understand. The eating the flesh, the drinking the blood, that it's everlasting life, and that the manna sent to their ancestors were, they died when they ate that because they didn't eat him. They understood that the gift came from heaven, and they were fed, but they did not believe. They did not eat and live out in spirit and life. So many of the people who were following him walked away from him because of that teaching. So I would encourage you, whenever things seem hard, walking in the faith, that you stick to it, that you ask for wisdom, that you ask for Yah to reveal his plan in your life, that you ask him, let him know when something seems hard so he can give you understanding and knowledge, because I would not want to be one of those people that walks away. And he only had 12 that truly stayed. He had many followers, but those 12, they understood. Even when they struggled, they still understood, like Peter says, when in verse 67, when Yeshua says, "Do you also want to go away?" It must have been troubling for them to see so many people walk away. I personally have experienced that. I have seen in my testimony video that I shared how this the Holy Spirit literally was sent down to this woman, to me. And that is how Yah kind of revealed himself to me, was through another person, or an angel. I still can't quite understand, but I just know that I encountered him. But speaking about the things of heaven and Yeshua, and they just walk away. And so it must have been troubling. I also know how that is when Yeshua would have said, "Do you also want to go away?" My answer is no. And I love Simon's answer. He said, "Adonai, to whom shall we go? You possess words of everlasting life, and we have believed, and we know that you are Messiah, the Son of the living Elohim." So that is my response too. When times get rough and tough and struggling to understand something, it's just an invitation for you to reach out to Yah, ask for understanding. He'll give it to you. And pray that you have an encounter with him if you haven't yet. If you have, please share in the comments below. Also, comment on anything that you have maybe highlighted, something that stuck out to you in this chapter that you would like to share. I would love to hear words that encourage me, to know that other people have kind of gone through some similar things. So I love that. And let me know if you have any questions or anything like that. Share in the comments below. But stay tuned. Chapter 7 will be coming next tomorrow. Have a wonderful Sunday, first day of the week. Praise Yah. I pray that Yah bless you and keep you and make his face shine upon you.